Namaskar, I am Dr. Nalini Avinash Wagmari, working as Associate Professor at Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith. This is my brief information. Today's our topic is related to Mansabdari system, which is introduced by the Akbar. So in this Mansabdari system, we have to study what were the features of Mansabdari system, merits and demerits of Mansabdari system, conclusion and references. So the Mughal organization was called Mansabdari system. So as we know that Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb and all other seven rulers of these Mughals. मुझे ये लाइट बराबर नहीं दिख रहा. लाइट लगाऊं क्या? वो जी ये लाइट चाहिए चाहिए. काम करती हूँ. Namaskar, I am Dr. Nalini Avinash Wagmare, working as Associate Professor at Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith. This is my brief information. Today's our topic is related to Mansabdari system. When we study the Delhi Sultan Shahis, later on the Mughal rulers, under that the Akbar introduced this Mansabdari system. The Mughal organization was called Mansabdari system. The word Mansab means rank, place, or status. The Mansabdars were therefore holders of ranks in imperial service. This system was regularized by Akbar, who made it as scientific as it could be. Mansabdar was one who held a mansab or official appointment in Mughal India from the time of Emperor Akbar. A Mansabdar held an office of rank and profit and as such was to supply a number of troops for military service of the state. The Mansabdars formed the Mughal bureaucracy on military line. Akbar introduced and systemized this organization. Then Akbar was the architect of this Mansabdari system. Akbar was the architect Mansabdar system, an institution of political and economic significance that played a crucial role in the consolidation and disintegration of the Mughal Empire. We also notice an evolution in the beginning and the growth of this institution. The word Mansab means a place, position, rank, honor, which happened to be an integral part of the elaborated Mughal bureaucracy. The Percival Spare rightly points out that Mansabdari was a elite within an elite. Then the Mansabdari system Mughal was the basis of civil and military administration of the country. The system was introduced by Akbar, who borrowed it from the Persian. It different fundamental from the feudal system of Europe in the sense that it had nothing to do with land and was also not hereditary. The Mansabdari system provided the Mughals with a civil service. The literal meaning already I stated is its dignity, post, or office. According to various historians given a different opinion. Under that, according to Irwin, the object of Mansabdari system was to settle precedents of fixed gradation of pay. Mansabdar belongs both civil and military purposes departments also. As a matter of fact, there was no distinction between the two departments in Mughal period. Officials were transferred from civil side to the military department and vice versa. The word Mansab was generally restricted to those who were high officials and title of Rozindar was given to the inferior government servants. All officials, civil as well as military, were classified into 33 grades, ranking from commanders of 10 to commanders of 10,000, with salaries which varied according to the strength of the command. The highest grades of commanders of 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 were resecured for the royal princes. Thus, the Mansabdars were directly recruited, promoted, suspended, or dismissed by the emperor. So everything in the will of the emperor, it's the system is belongs. A definite rate of pay was fixed for each grade, and out of this remuneration, each Mansabdar was required to maintain a certain number of troops, elephants, beasts of burden. But the Mansabdari rarely fulfilled this condition. The cavalry, the infantry, the war elephants, and the artillery constitute the chief components of the Mughal army. However, the novelty of the army organization of the Mughals was the Mansabdari system, which was introduced by Akbar and maintained with minor changes till the rule of the Aurangzeb. So, Mansab meant rank and different numbers which could be divided. 10 were used for ranking officers according to their rank. Mansab was also meant for fixing the salaries and earnings of officers. During the reign of Akbar, the lowest rank was the number 10 and the highest was that of 12,000, and the Mansab have 5,000 and later on that of 7,000 was given only to Prince of Royal Blood, while Jahangir and Shah Jahan awarded Mansab to their officers up to the number of 8,000. And the royal princes were given Mansab up to the number of 40,000. So, historians describe that Mansabdars were required to maintain soldiers equivalent to the number of their rank. But the majority of historians have rejected this view and have held that the number of their soldiers was certainly less than the number of their rank. The duties, promotions, etc. of Mansabdar depend on the sweet will of the emperor. Mansabdar were paid salary in cash, and if jagirs were assigned to them, they were paid from the revenue collected from their respective jagirs by the officers of the central government. Mansabdars paid salaries to their soldiers out of their own salary. Then Akbar introduced the rank of Jat and Sawar as well as in this system about which historians are different. A.L. Srivastava, however, has expressed that Jat indicate the total number of soldiers under a Mansabdar, while Sawar indicate the number of horsemen under him. Akbar also divided every grade of his Mansabdar holding the rank of 5,000 or below into three categories. Akbar started the practice of keeping hulia of his soldiers and also the practice of dag, branding the horses and elephants. There were many grades of Mansabdar, but their main division into two parts. One part was known as Umras and other ordinary Mansabdar. The Mansabdar who held high rank of 1 Hajari, 2 Hajari, any higher rank up to 12 were known as Umras. Those who held a rank lower than that of 1,000 but not below 20 were called Mansabdar. That is why Bernier stated that Mansabdars were inferior Umras. There were three categories: Mansabdar of 400 ranks, Mansabdar of 5 to 2,500 rank, who were known as Umrah. Mansabdars of more than 3,000 were known as Umrah-e-Azam. Then Jat and Sawar. A distinction has to be made between Jat and Sawar, ranks of the Mansabdar. However, scholars are anonymous on this point. The view of Lozman has that word Jat indicates the number of troops which a Mansabdar was expected to maintain, while Sawar indicates the actual number of horses under the command of a Mansabdar. If a Mansabdar held the rank of 1,000 Jat and 5,000 Sawar, then he held a rank of 1,000, while he actually commanded 500 horses. The view of Ernie was that Sawar rank had nothing to do with the actual number normally commanded by an officer. It was an honor and it merely pointed out that the actual number of horses over and above those of the Jat. Then what was the position of the position and status of Mansabdar under Jat and Sawar? In the beginning up to 1595 to 96, personal pay and size of the contingent was represented by single rank of Jat, but from 95-96, both the Jat and Sawar ranks began to decide the position and status of the Mansabdar. While Jat decided the Mansabdar personal pay or Tala Baksha and his rank in the official hierarchy, Sawar fixed the horses and horsemen to be maintained by the Mansabdar and the amount he received to maintain his contingent. Nature of Sawar. According to meaning and nature of Sawar, there is no anonymity of opinion. William Irwin, Abdul Aziz, and Atar Ali offer different versions. Again, in the year 1595-96, the Mansabdars were divided in three classes: first, second, and third. First class was an equal number of Jat and Sawar. Then second class, Jat and half of more than half of Sawar. And third class, Jat and less than half of Sawar. There was no fixing of the number of Mansabdars. While in 1595-96, Akbar maintained 1,803 Mansabdars. By the end of the reign of Aurangzeb, the number rose to 14,499. The Mansabdars were from 10 to 10,000 in the beginning, but later they were enhanced up to the 50,000. Generally, Mansabdar above 5,000 were reserved for the princes, but during the reign of Jahangir and Shahjahan, the Mansabs of 7,000, 8,000 were awarded to the nobles. The members of the royal family were awarded Mansab up to 40,000 and 50,000. So this was the system existed at that time. Then what was the method of appointment of these Mansabdars? Mansabdars were appointed to all civil and military posts except that of judiciary, and the position like Wazir, Bakshi, Fauzdar, and Subedar were held by the Mansabdars. The Mansabdar appears to be a Central Asian institution. There is a view that this institution came to India with the Babur. During Babur's time, instead of the term Mansabdar, the term of Wajahatdar was used. There is a definite difference between these two terms of Mansabdar and Wajahatdari system. Under the reign of Akbar, Mansabdar system became the basis of military and civil administration. It is also believed that Akbar followed the principle of Genghis Khan in fixing up the grades of the Mansabdars. Then what were the grades? Abul Fazl stated that Akbar provided 66 grades of Mansabdars ranging from commands of 10 horsemen to 10,000 horsemen, but he gives a list of 33 grades of Mansabdars. Thus, the term Mansab decides the status of the holder in the graded official hierarchy. It also fixed the pay of the holder or Mansabdar, and it also made it obligatory to maintain a specified number of contingent with horses and necessary equipment. Then what was the appointment system of these Mansabdars? The Mansabdar were appointed to all civil and military posts. It's repeating. Then rank of the Mansabdar. The emperor can raise the rank of the Mansabdar by increased number of quality to a Mansabdar. We also come to know that those who had 5,000 less than 500 were called Mansabdar. Those who had more than 500 and below 25,000 were called Amirs, and those who are 25 were called Amir-e-Ulma. Then Amir-e-Azam, Amir-e-Umras. Further, those Mansabdars who were paid in cash were called Nagadi, and those paid through Jagirs were called Jagirdars. So no Mansabdar could hold on the said Jagir for a long term, and they were liable for their transfer. Mansabdar post was not hereditary one. The Mansab's post or honor or dignity was not hereditary. It lapsed after the death of or dismissal of the Mansabdar, and the property returned to the state after that. While the basic feature of this system introduced by Akbar continued, new features were added during his successor regimes. One such feature was the introduction of the use of conditional rank or mashrut, which means an increase of Sawar rank for a short period. The reign of Jahangir was an important innovation of introduction to Pasha, Sheshbas, which means if a Mansabdar held a Mansab of 4,000 Jats, 4,000 Sawar, and he was eligible to 4,000 plus 4,000, 8,000 for both, the pay and obligation of Mansabdari were doubled. Under Shahjahan, the new regulations prescribing the size of the contingent under various Sawar ranks were introduced. Then what were the reason the collapse of this Mansabdari system? The increase of number of Mansabdar during the reign of Aurangzeb led to the Jagirdari and agrarian crisis, which led to the collapse of the Mansabdari system. Though in theory the Mansabdari position was open to all, in practice The Mughals were gave importance to hereditary factor, and as such, Khanjadas, houseborn and Jamindars were given preference along with Turanis, Iranis, Afghanis, Rajputs, and Marathas, and the Deccanis by Aurangzeb, in particular for military reasons. Then the emperor was in charge of all recruitment of imperial officers. He was at liberty to award any mansab to anybody with whom he was pleased. Promotion, degradation, dismissal were also in the hands of the emperor. Akbar was an expert in the selection of right persons and he often appointed a competent person direct to High Mansab. Abul Fazl writes, His Majesty sees through some men at the first glance and confers them high ranks. The devotion and faithfulness of a Mansabdar contributed a lot to his promotion on the high ranks. Then salary and structure of these Mansabdars. Normally cash salaries were given to the Mansabdars and they were paid very highly. In cash, any Jagir was awarded to some high rank officers. It was not given to him permanently and changes were introduced from time to time. The Mansabdar led a luxurious life because even after meeting the expenditure, they saved a lot of money from the amount they received from the imperial treasury. A Mansabdar of each class was required to keep specified number of horses for which he was paid 44 rupees per month. Then under the salary structure, the soldiers of Mansabdars, being a part of royal army, received their salary in cash from the royal treasury and not from the Mansabdars, as has been pointed out by some scholars. At the same time, it is evident that some of the corrupt and dishonest Mansabdars did not maintain an exact number of soldiers and received salaries according to their fictitious payrolls. Thus, they embezzled a great part of imperial treasury for their own benefit and luxurious. Then let's see what are the merits of this Mansabdari system. Mansabdari system was a progressive system adopted by Akbar for the reorganization of the army. No other Indian ruler had ever thought and planned on such line as followed by Akbar. He tried to establish a link between the chieftainship and feudalism through Mansabdari. Some of the Mansabdar were given liberty to recruit their soldiers from their own tribe and religion, but they had to owe unconditional allegation to the central government. The system of Mansabdari freed the emperor from the grips of the feudal lords as it put an end to the Jagirdari system. The post of the Mansabdar was not held, hence ever new Mansabdar received his Mansab from the emperor. His promotion, demotion also depend on the mercy of the emperor. Hence, he had to be faithful and devoted to the emperor, failing which he was deprived of all privileges by the emperor. It lessened the chances of revolt in the empire. Akbar also sought the help of his hereditary marital elements and brave citizens to join the royal army, and he thus contributed to the political unification of the country. So these are the few merits. Then let's see why this Mansabdar system was failure. 1. As most of the Mansabdars were foreigners, they did not have love towards Indian Empire. Hence, Akbar failed to organize a national army with the help of this Mansabdar. Moreover, as soldiers were recruited by the Mansabdars and they received their salary and promotion from the Mansabdars, they remained loyal to their own masters instead of the Mughal emperors. The central army remained weak as the soldiers of the Mansabdars. They failed to coordinate with the royal army at the time of the period. As no systematic training was imparted to the soldiers by the central government before waging the wars, their fitness remained always in doubt, and their weapons and standards remained poles apart from one another. So these are the weakness. That's why the Mansabdari system was failure because of the practice of payment of salary to the soldiers by Mansabdars, absence of uniformity in organization, training, discipline, etc., not in a proper manner, even absence of navy, failure to improve the fighting skill of the infantry and artillery, The practice of taking wives, prostitutes, slaves in the time of the battlefield. The failure to improve the army organization emperors after Akbar remained the weakness of the Mughal Empire, Mughal army. Yet till the rule of Aurangzeb, Mughal army remained an invisible army. So these are the few causes to failure of the Mansabdari system. Then evaluation of the Mansabdari system. Anyway, the Mansabdari system worked with great efficiency in the time of Akbar. That's why north to south, east to west, Akbar expanded his territories. Every effort was made to make the system as efficient as possible. The number of Mansabdar was small. However, as time passed on, the number of Mansabdars rose and great care was not taken at the time of their appointment. A large number of Mansabdar were created in the time of Jahangir when he was busy in his war in the Deccan. The system completely deteriorated during the Deccan Wars of Aurangzeb, which lasted for a quarter of a country. The system collapsed after the death of Aurangzeb. So these are the few reference book you refer for more detail about the Mansabdari system. Nizam, K. Nizam, Some Aspects of Religion Politics in India in 13th century, Seema Alvi book, 18th century in India, Herman Cook's State in India also, Rominatha Thappar's book, History of India from earliest time to 1300. So for more detail, you can refer these books. Thank you.